Okay, so what exactly is game theory? It is the study of situations where the outcome for each participant depends on the actions of others. In essence, it's about strategic interaction. Without interaction, there is no game. We build a model of these interactions and use it to predict what the optimal outcomes will be. Now, notice my stress on the word model. Game theory is all about simplifying real-world problems. It uses simple models that abstract away some of the complexity to get to the core of a strategic situation. Of course, when you simplify things, you lose some realism. For instance, people might have motivations that you didn't account for that justify an unexpected behavior. But that's a trade-off. You get a clearer, more tangible problem to analyze, even though it might not capture every detail of real life. Let's now define what we mean by a game in economic terms. A game is a strategic interaction between players where certain key elements are common knowledge. It is often assumed that players are smart and rational. For instance, that they know all the possible actions they can take, the possible outcomes of those actions, and exactly how much they value those outcomes. In fact, it goes beyond that, because the assumption is not only about knowing the rules, but knowing that everyone else knows the rules too, and that everyone is aware that everyone else knows the rules. In game theory, we distinguish between two main types of games, static and dynamic. Static games involve players making their decisions simultaneously without knowing what the others are going to do. Dynamic games, on the other hand, involve players taking turns, with each player observing the previous moves before making their own decisions. An example of a static game would be a sealed bid auction, where each player submits their bid without knowing the bids of others. A dynamic game might be an English auction, where the price increases in steps and players take turns bidding based on previous bids. We also classify games by the completeness of information. A game of complete information means that all relevant details are known to the players. Chess is a good example. Everything is visible on the board, and there is no hidden information. In a game of incomplete information, like poker, some key information is hidden, such as the cards your opponent holds. Another key concept in game theory is utility. Utility is the value players assign to different outcomes. It allows us to compare different situations and predict which decisions a player is likely to make. For example, one person might value a vacation in France more than a vacation in Germany, while another person might feel the opposite. Game theory assumes that players are utility maximizers. They always try to get the most value or satisfaction from a situation.